On today's show, David flies solo while Jeff wraps things up at ISTE 17. I'll be talking about some of the issues affecting those of us in education technology, some cool tips gleaned from the Not at ISTE hashtag, music from our featured artist of the week, and more. That's all up next on EduTech Guys.
EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to, oh, it's a little loud. Hello and welcome to EduTech Guys Radio. I'm Dave, flying solo today while Jeff is wrapping up things from his trip to the ISTE conference in San Antonio. And speaking of ISTE, I want to send a great big thank you to everyone who caught up with Jeff at the conference. I understand his EduTech Guys t-shirt was a big hit, so we will be sure to bring lots of those to ISTE next year when it is in Chicago, and we'll find a way to give people shirts. You're going to have to talk to us. I know that's going to be part of it. Sit down, share your story, get a shirt. There you go. I don't know. We'll figure it out, man. I don't know. Oh, whew. In this episode, I want to cover a few things like E-rate and the FCC, the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling in favor of a Missouri church to receive state funding, and the impact on school choice and vouchers that could have, may have, depends on where you sit on things. Plus, I'm going to share a couple of cool things that I gleaned from the Not at ISTE hashtag recently, and if you're not familiar with that, we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Whew, lots of stuff going on. Be sure to follow along with all things EduTech Guys on Twitter at EduTech Guys, Facebook /EduTech Guys, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. If you Google EduTech Guys, you're going to find us all over the internet. And if you head over to radio.edutechguys.com during live broadcasts, you can chat with us. Head over there and I think you have to sign in order to chat. Maybe not. I can't remember how all that works. It's all technology. What do I know? Anyway, head over there, and we've got the chat window open. I will try to keep my eyes on it as I am attempting to run everything solo today. That is awesome. Going to have a lot of fun. I want to thank crossbraining.com and GoPro for promotional consideration on EduTech Guys Radio. Crossbraining.com is creating a universal learning community by sharing the best and most effective teaching methods and lessons through video and other technology. And crossbraining.com features several free GoPro lessons, including Fetch, where students capture video of a pet and then use the footage to create an adventurous short video from their pet's perspective. So check them out, crossbraining.com.
Hey, do you have an upcoming event or conference? Let us provide live, on-site, ongoing coverage. Reach out to us on Twitter at EduTechGuys or head over to edutechguys.com and fill out the form. We'll talk to your attendees, interview presenters, and visit with vendors while we share insights, stories, and information as it happens from your event. Bring EduTech Guys to your event, and we'll bring your event
to the world. I don't know what happened there. I don't know why I got cut off. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K, dude. All right, it's crazy, man. Very, very cool. All right, let's talk about a couple of things. Let's talk about E-rate and some other changes that are taking place at the FCC. The new chairman of the FCC, Ajit Pai, I believe that's how you say that. Forgive me if I'm butchering the name. But he's already got a controversial history with E-rate and FCC, and he appears to be ready to make some other changes to the program. One of the things that he might try to implement centers on enrollment-based funding formulas, which essentially means that how much E-rate funding you get is based on how many students you have. So, a lot of folks are against this. A lot of folks are for it. I guess it depends on how many students you have, right? But here's my thing. I think it needs to be an upside down funding system. So that is, the more students you have, the less funding you get. That way, schools that are in rural areas who don't have the student counts to make up huge budgets can benefit by getting more of the E-rate money. If the E-rate program doles out money based on enrollment, those smaller rural and high poverty schools are going to see significant drops in their funding if it's based on a traditional funding formula. So basically, what that means in English is those schools won't be able to provide internet access required for today's education environment if it's used in the traditional sense. And so I don't know. I worry about that. I think that could be a potential problem. Um, Part of the problem with funding E-rate at all is the way that those monies are collected in the first place. Okay, so if you're not aware, let me catch you up. E-rate uses money collected from your phone bill. On each telephone bill, there's a universal service fund fee. It's a tax, really, but we can't call it that, of course. But anyway, those USF fees are put into a giant pot, and then schools and libraries can use those funds to help offset the costs of telecommunication. All right, so here's the problem on two fronts. First of all, fewer and fewer people are keeping their phone lines, right? So this means that fewer and fewer dollars are going into those coffers for E-rate. Then second, the E-rate program itself, or more to the point, FCC, has already been whittling down the amounts of money that schools can use for telephone service. Now they can use it for internet service, but telephone service, no. That's being whittled out. All right, so it's a self-defeating circle of life, right? You have less money being collected from phone lines because fewer people have phone lines. Then you have the FCC cutting funding for phone lines, which is where the money is generated. Then fewer schools are then going to have phone lines, traditional phone lines. So again, less money going in to the coffers. I mean, you can see where this is going. I mean, ultimately, they are on a dwindling return for funding. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years in terms of getting the E-rate funding uh, available for schools and libraries, which currently those are the only entities allowed to apply for this E-rate funding. So that brings me to my next point. There was a proposal that came out several years ago, and I don't know if it's a proposal, if it was just a discussion. I remember it was kind of a hot topic where E-rate that the E-rate program should focus more on communities and not just the schools and libraries within the communities. So instead of the schools and libraries getting the money, the communities themselves would get money. And that's all well and good, but I mean, all right, then we get into things like, okay, so what defines a community? And then even within that defined community, who handles the reimbursements and or who heads up the process? How is that how is that handled? How does that ultimately benefit that community by getting these funds for internet access, broadband, and other services that are considered uh, eligible under the E-rate program? I mean, who heads that up if this is at a community? I don't know. And what would that funding formula look like? I mean, you're going to base it on community population. Does poverty come into effect? All that kind of stuff. I don't know. These are all things to ponder when you're looking at changing the fundamental functioning of a program that's been around since the late 90s. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with E-rate and the FCC uh, in the future, and probably in the not so distant future, as a matter of fact. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Another thing I wanted to talk about. At the time that this is being recorded, the U.S. Supreme Court had recently, or has recently, ruled in favor of a Missouri church to receive grant money for playground improvements for their preschool program. Um, and so you have a church preschool program. They originally applied for a grant to improve their playground. They wanted to get some recycled tires, recycled rubber, and put that down in their playground for children's safety for their preschool program. And the Missouri Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that because that's, that you get into the whole separation of church and state, and we can't do that. Well, the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, said, actually, in this particular instance, because the funds are going specifically for the betterment of children, then that's what they've got. I mean, then that's okay. It's not going to fund biblical programs. It's not going to fund, teacher salaries at the school. This is specifically going to fund this upgrade playground that benefits the public in general. Therefore, they said, yep, we can do that. So school voucher supporters claim a victory while the opponents are crying foul because this is, no matter how you cut it, it's still public money going to private entities. I don't know. Regardless of which side of the fence your hat tilts on this one, I don't know. The ruling follows the White House's plans to expand school choice and vouchers. No matter how you cut it, whether you like it or don't, it definitely falls in line with what the White House is trying to do. So here's the thing. Vouchers and school choice have been around for decades, really, and most recently in the form of tax credits, school mobility agreements, that kind of thing. But when when a state takes tax credits and they wrap those tax credits to companies and individuals for quote unquote donating to an organization that then funnels the money to private, religious, and other non-public school programs, it's a voucher. You can call it what you want, but it's a voucher program. They call it a tax credit, whatever. It's a voucher, okay? You got to call it what it is, all right? So whether you like it, don't like it, you agree with it, don't agree with it, we all have to be on the same playing field in terms of terminology and what's what. Let's call it what it is. And we've talked on here before about vouchers and school choice. My stance hasn't changed. I think vouchers and school choice are a mechanism for legalized segregation. I mean, private schools will be allowed to pick and choose the students that they serve. I mean, they can already do that. They don't have to provide any proof of success. They're exempt from standardized tests that the public schools are held accountable. In fact, and additionally, they don't have to have any kind of fair dismissal program. I mean, there's a big list that goes on, and that's how it is. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how that pans out. All right, so I know I just listed what's wrong, right, with vouchers, and you'd think that I was anti-voucher and anti-choice, but actually, if it's done right, I'm actually for it, so long as public schools are afforded the same freedoms that that private schools are. I mean, look, private schools, again, they don't have to have the standardized tests and they don't have to have the accountability. Fine. Eliminate that for public schools as well. Let public school teachers, I don't know, teach. How about that? There you go. Conversely, if that doesn't work, then in that case, require private schools to succumb to the same rigors that public schools are held. I know. It's pie in the sky, dreaming, wishing, hoping, all that good stuff. But, the truth is, certain factions of government don't really care about who's affected or how they're affected. They just want to be able to give money to the organizations they want to without the repercussions. We know how it is. So how this is going to pan out, who knows? The real question, as it always has been, is how will all of this ultimately affect the students who will become the leaders in the future, right? How does school choice affect that? How do vouchers affect that? How does public school, what the future of public school looks like? How does all of that affect the students that are in school now who become our leaders, our caretakers, our policymakers in the future. I don't know. I guess we'll roll the dice and gamble on the generations subjected to whatever outcome there is for vouchers and school choice. I don't know. I guess that's what we'll see. We'll just see what happens there. So, man, whew. All right, good stuff. All right, after the break, we're going to have music from our featured artist, Nick C. Plus, we'll take a look at some of the cool tips from folks using the Not at ISTE 17 hashtag. That's up next. Are you an educator, an administrator, work in the education technology field? Reach out to us at EduTechGuys on Twitter or go to edutechguys.com and fill out the form to be a guest on an upcoming show. We'd love to hear your story and share it with the world. edutechguys.com. I don't know why my stuff's getting cut off. What's up with that? There's some strange things going on here, man. Anyhow, let's hope this doesn't get cut off. This is music from Nick C, Niksea, and How Long here on EduTech Guys Radio.
When you find you're just a man, afraid of his past, and you've learned it all before, but the lessons didn't last. Why won't you become all of the things you love? Why must you wait and see if you can wait for me? How long we stay with me? How long we stay with me? When you just can't find enough to live, I throw it all away. All the glimmers of a hope you give are all but bound to fade. Why won't you become all of the things you love? And why must you wait and see if you can wait for me? How long we stay with 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 me? Spread your wings and fly high above the earth. Take your love and mine, take it all for what it's worth. But how long will you stay with me? 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 We stay with me. How long we stay with me? How
Yeah, music from Nick C. and How Long here on EduTech Guys Radio. That is from Nick C, NIKSEA.com. Go check it out. His EP is available for purchase. Awesome stuff from Nick C. He's a Pittsburgh native and one of our favorite featured artists here on EduTech Guys Radio. All right, so one of the things that I wanted to do before I get away is talk about some of the things that, just a couple of things that I saw creep across or fly across really the hashtag not at ISTE17. If you're not familiar with that, you can jump on Twitter and do a search for hashtag not at ISTE, ISTE 17, that's the number. So not at ISTE 17. And there's a whole culture of folks who are not able to go to the ISTE conference itself. And so they kind of do an unconference or their own sort of conference, sharing information and pulling information that they're seeing from ISTE and sharing it with folks who aren't at ISTE. Very cool thing. It's awesome. There's also a Google Plus group, not at ISTE. It is a private group, but you can request to get in there if you're interested. So you can check that out as well. So one of the things Tony Vincent shared out a cool way to keep up with multiple hashtags in one search on Twitter. So when you're on Twitter, the search box is in the upper right corner, and it helps you find what you're looking for, right? Okay, but usually when you're searching for something, most folks only search for one hashtag. So you might search for hashtag not at ISTE17. All right, but you can add the word or between your search terms and pull up multiple results. So you can search for hashtag not at ISTE or hashtag not at ISTE17 or hashtag ISTE17, right? So each of those three things with an or between them, there you go. So when you get the search results, it will show you the results for all of those things because you're using or. And so you get that all in one result. It's all tied together. And you can do that for anything. I mean, I'm using ISTE17 as an example, but I mean, you could, whatever you search for, you could enter multiple key terms that are related to that with the or in between them, and it's going to pull up those search results. So that's awesome in itself, but he is not done. There's more. That's right. Not only that, but in the search results, once you get the results list, at the top of the list to the right, you're going to see three vertical dots. And if you click on those dots, then there's a drop down, and in there you can save your search results for future reference. So for example, if you're following so you're following hashtag ISTE17, a lot of folks, they still continue to post long after the conference. So you could save your search results, and then when you go back to those and recall them, it'll pull up the most current items that follow whatever your search was. So, and again, I'm using ISTE17, but I don't know, maybe you're looking for, it could be anything. Maybe you're looking for certain Twitter chats. Maybe you're looking for, or maybe you want to see what's happening in multiple Twitter chats. So you could do like hashtag ArcEdChat or hashtag MEEdChat, hashtag FLEdChat. And so by having those with the word or between them, it's going to show you all of those ed chats in one place, and you can save that, go back to it later. Awesome stuff from Tony Vincent. Very, very cool. Another thing is teachersfirst.com. They have a ton of resources specifically geared toward teachers, lesson plans, professional development, and more. But what makes the site different than a lot of other sites is that everything they have is provided for free, and they don't have ads all over the place. That is very cool. So that is teachersfirst.com. And then, wrapping things up, how about a list of 10 new and innovative EdTech products that were announced at ISTE17? Yeah, we put a link together. I'll tweet it out here in just a minute. But I put a link together, tinyurl.com / ISTE17-10 things. So let me spell that out for you. Tinyurl.com / ISTE17-10THINGS. So again, tinyurl.com/ISTE17-10 things. You can check that out. Look for things like the Viative Labs VR Learn. It's an all-in-one VR kit for schools. It's the headset. It has a controller. It has a built-in device, so you don't actually have to use the student phones, or you don't have to go find a bunch of old iPods. It actually has the mobile device already built in to the VR headset. That is freaking awesome. There's also the Micro Bit. It's a small board computer with LEDs and programmable and all that kind of good stuff. You want to check that out. And then Collab Space, and I mean, there's all kinds of things. Like I said, there's a list of 10 new and innovative EdTech products that were announced at ISTE17. So you want to check that out. I'll tweet out the link to you. You can check that out as well. Hey, speaking of ISTE17 and conferences and all that good stuff, here's where EduTechGuys are going to be coming up soon. In December, we will be at the AESA conference in San Antonio. So yes, Jeff is just now coming back from San Antonio from ISTE, and in December he'll be going back. I'll be heading into San Antonio for the AESA conference. We'll be providing live conference coverage there, talking with folks involved with education service agencies from around the globe, and helping them tell their story and share their stories with you guys. And then in January, we will be at the FCC conference in Orlando, FETC, and we were there last year doing live coverage, had an awesome response. Cannot wait to go back to Orlando in January, which is an awesome time to go if you're going to Orlando. So you definitely want to check out the FETC conference. That is FETC.org. And we have other places that we'll be coming to as well. We'll keep you posted about those. If you would like us to come and cover your event, reach out to us. Again, direct message on Twitter at EduTechGuys, or you can head over to EduTechGuys.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, fill out the form, and we will get back in touch with you. We would love to provide conference coverage for your event. It doesn't have to be an education event. Yes, we are EduTech Guys, but we can provide conference coverage for any type of event. We come in, we talk to your participants, we can talk to your presenters, we'll talk to your event coordinators, and if you have key vendors that you would like us to talk to, we get whatever is going on in your world. We talk to the people involved in your world and get them to share their stories about their participation in whatever's going on. So again, reach out to us, edutechguys.com, scroll to the bottom, fill out the form, let us know. We would love to provide live online conference coverage for your event. That is awesome. Well, I guess that's about it. I'm going to wrap things up here, and I hope you've enjoyed the show today. I appreciate you listening and tuning in, whether you're listening live or whether you're catching the show after the fact. Thank you so much for listening to EduTech Guys Radio, and hopefully we'll get to see you in the future where you can share your story with us. I'm David Henderson, David in Arc, you name it. There it is. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on EduTech Guys Radio.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.